Good evening, back again. New Ross County, Wexford. Have you been last Sunday? It was last Sunday. What was last Sunday? Was it the 29th? It was the 30th of April because my birthday was on the Saturday the 29th, so it was the 30th of April, last Sunday. And it was over in Portlawn, County Waterford, laying flowers in a grave of a good friend whose sister and husband died there recently, and died over in England. And her daughter, the doctor, had him cremated, and are buried now in the family grave, the father and mother of Josephine. And she's back. So I visited and said a decade of the rosary last Sunday, because then I went to New Ross. No, I didn't. I was able to bypass New Ross. But then I went to New Ross when I came back. I'd say I was back at about 2:30 or something like that. And I went up to town. It's very hilly. Went up to the church and put a little notice or two in it. It's a big church in Noble Hill. God, it was wore out. Tell you that. So you could see it as you were coming up, and then when you went into the town, you couldn't see it. So I went the wrong way, and I went up hills and it's all right coming down. But when I came down, I noticed it before, the wait to see, what's it called? The Dun Brody. The Dun Brody. It was a passenger ship in the 1840s with sails, and it brought a lot of Irish people from the 1840s when the famine, 50s when the famine came here, but it was becoming there kind of in 18. This is when this date is December 1847. They were going to New York, but then they were traveling on to a place called Savannah. So I went on the tour of the bus, and there was other people as well, and people had been on there. I went on a tour last Sunday at 4:00, and there's part of it. William Graves and Son, the K New Ross and the Keys, passengers contract ticket. They were the ones. They were stevedores or whatever, that type of thing there with ships, and they had this Dunbrody built in on the continent, I think, and brought back because while they were exporting grain and that type of stuff, there was people now wanting to go, so they converted the ship for passengers. I think they were able to take 337 passengers. I saw where they were living. Most of the passengers were in 6 foot in length and about, I suppose, 4 foot in wide in steerage. And this was a ticket, and we had a tour, and we saw, as we were going down, there was pictures of various things, and it'd move you to tears what I saw, because I'd be sentimental about these things. Our brothers and sisters happened to flee, and they wouldn't have been out of their villages wherever they were when they were going to the United States or Canada. They wouldn't have known where they were going. And mind you, they were very ill. Some of them died on the way. But there was one captain whose family had a chemist shop in New Ross. Captain Tompkins, I think. But he was for 21 years at it. And during his tenure, normally on ships that went from Liverpool, for example, Often 80 out of the 300 odd passengers, often about 80 died on the way. But when this captain that took this job for 21 years in 1847 or something like that, for 21 years, out of the 317 passengers, only one died on each journey. Wasn't that fantastic? Because he treated them all the same. And there was two first-class passengers who were where the captain had his quarters. They had food, the best of food and service and all the rest of it. And they resented they had money and they were going there probably even to buy a business. They had money. And they were going to either New York or Canada. In this crowd, these passengers were going to a place called Savannah, which is in the south of the country, in the Confederate area as was during the Civil War. Savannah, Georgia, I think it was in. So, and this boat was travelling at a very awkward time, and there must have been storms. The 4th of December, 1846. The Dunbrody, and then it says here, ship the Dunbrody of 458 tons, register boarding, to sail from New Ross for Savannah on the 4th day of December, 1847. I engage that the person herein named shall be provided with a steerage passage to Savannah in the ship Dunbrody. I don't know how it landed in Savannah. It must be on the coast. That would be a long journey. It took 6 weeks to go to New York, so I don't know how long it took to go to Savannah. With not less than 10 cubic feet for luggage for each statute adult for the sum of £7. And that was a lot of money them times, including head money, if any, at the place of landing and every other charge. And I hereby acknowledge to have received the sum of the same and the date payment. Water and provisions, according to the annexed scale, will be supplied by the ship as required by law. And also fires, suitable huts for cooking. This would be on deck. Bedding and utensils for eating and drinking must be provided by the passenger. Signed, William Graves. They were the people. There was the people with the passengers and all the rest of it. And it's a funny name, Graves. I'd be feeling a bit worried if I was getting on the boat by somebody called that name, Graves. I hope I wouldn't need to reach an early grave on the ship. Imagine sailing that time of the year. I mean, it would have been rough, wouldn't it? Going across the Atlantic from New Ross in December. And by the way, the ones in steerage, and that's where the most of the passengers were, there was only 2 first-class berths. And they were no snobs, the usual type, looking down on everybody else. But this captain that was so good, he was for 21 years. Only one died in the whole thing. And these people would have been in poor health, God help them. But he looked after them and he brought them up. They was ill and brought them up to the quarters there and had him treated and that and helped him to recover. He was a good man. He was actually Welsh. And when he retired, which wasn't that old, he went back to Wales. I don't know what he was doing, the chemist shop in New Ross. And he had his wife and 6 children he had. Or rather, they had 6 children. And so presume the wife was sort of saying, well, I got used to you not having it here. So we probably didn't say them things them times. So he signed William Graves. Now, scale of passions and water that will be supplied to each adult by the ship. Now, and there was a fellow called John Fagan, Elizabeth Fagan, and Patrick Fagan. So there wasn't too many. They often had 4 or 5 children that all had to share the one place. Ones under 12, I think, were free. And ones over 12 had to pay less depending on their age. Now, they normally went to New York. This one went to Savannah, and I was surprised that there wouldn't have been too many going to Savannah, which is in the Confederate territory, in I think Georgia, somewhere like that. And yeah, there was another one here. Oh, that's John Fagan. Yeah, Patrick Fagan, that's his son. So there was only 3 of them. And the £7 would have been equivalent of about £200 in today's currency, or maybe more. So it was a fair bit of money. And oftentimes these old yokes that had the land, they was first of all belonged to the Irish, had put them off it, and they wanted a grey sheep, same as over in England. They were more interested in, they didn't have any interest in human beings. They knocked down their poor houses, and they often then men or that they put stuff on a cart, and they didn't have a donkey or something to do. They were pulling themselves, and they often had to go a good number of miles to go to New Ross or wherever else they were going. They had to get another ship if they were going from Liverpool. Better to go from New Ross, but they often had to travel maybe 50 and 60 and 70 and 100 miles before they ever got on the ship. So, like, these were tough times. So I had to tour the ship. I'll tell you, bring tears to your stone. And there was the lady that did was a lady, and she had been in the reception area. So you went down a certain way, and there was other people, and there was 2 kids and their parents, and there was one little one. By goodness, she asked questions, and I said to the parents, she'll be a reporter when she grows up. She's as curious as you like. And I didn't get a chance. I had to sort of push my way to ask a question or two myself, because when I was down the stairs, up where the captain slept, and he was a good man. I noticed there was a cross on the wall. Nobody else on that tour remarked on it, but I certainly did, to acquaint all these, wherever they were from. I think some of them were from some other countries, and that some might have been Irish, for all I know. And then a lady come down and kind of like dressed and behaved like as if she was on a ship, and it was very well done, very realistic. It's well worth a visit if you're ever down that country. Visit Dumbarton, go on a tour on it. Jeepers, you'd learn a lot. And what our brothers and sisters had to put up with when they were there 6 weeks. And by the way, it was rough. And the steerage only had a buckety type of thing at one end and another at another end or something. And by goodness, then they couldn't go up on deck. When they went up on deck, they were only allowed up for 30 minutes. And that's when they had to do their cooking. And then it was rough. They weren't allowed up. So you can imagine the stink. God help them, and all that confined. It can't have been healthy, because if anybody had an illness, it could spread. But that man that was the captain, Tompkins, I think his name was. Funny enough, I probably have it written down somewhere, because I tried to take note of things, but I haven't got my hands on it. So that was the Dumbrody, and funny enough, the one that's there now was supplied by John F. Kennedy, the Kennedy family, whose home was in New Ross, and it can be visited. It's and there's a park named after him, and his homestead is there too. And there's an eternal flame in New Ross, just where the ship is. And it was when President Kennedy was assassinated, it was the eternal flame in Arlington Cemetery. And when Mrs. Jean Kennedy Smith, a sister of President Kennedy, she was ambassador to this country, and she was marvelous. Oh, she was a gift. I remember her. And the eternal flame after 50 years, that same was brought from Arlington Cemetery to New Ross, where John F. Kennedy's his ancestors went to America, the United States, in the 1850s. So he knew all about it, and I had a great pleasure of seeing him with President De Valera coming down in a motorcade in O'Connor Street. I was in just the bottom of Trinity Street and Dame Street. It was one great occasion in 1963. What a tragedy when he was assassinated that same year. I believe there was tears right, left, and centre in America and everywhere, because he was well liked. There was something about him. And his wife, Jacqueline, lovely. And then Robert Kennedy, when he was going for it, he was assassinated as well by a Muslim that was in the kitchen. I don't know why the security hadn't checked everything like that. And if he was there, get him to scruff of the neck and give him a root, you know where it hurts, and lock him in someplace. The security was a bit lax there. Poor Robert was assassinated as well. He probably would have wound up president, because there was a great liking for him. And Teddy Kennedy was the youngest, and he wasn't the brightest. Robert had vision, so did Jack. Teddy, or Edward as it was called, or Teddy then he was known as, didn't have that kind of vision, but he did his work on that, and he was a little unfortunate in life in some ways. He had his crosses. Now, that was the Dunbrody, and it was on for about an hour. Yeah, my birthday was on the Saturday, so I had all that experience on that, and well worth it. And I advise anyone to go down there to New Ross and just experience what our brothers and sisters and Irish Americans are very interested in that, I can tell you. And then the Eternal Flame was brought here from Arlington Cemetery with great honour. We don't hear much about it, do we? But you're hearing it from John Malone, Christian TV Ireland project. You'll hear from me all about these things as I experience them. So there you are. There's the tickets. And there was probably, I got a book there. I got a couple of books. There's the tickets. William Graves. William Graves. Now don't think they're there now. There's another crowd where they were, I think, Stappards, another Wexford name. And there's another thing in Wexford that's well worth visiting, the Franciscan Friary. And then there's a lovely church beside it, the Church of the Immaculate Conception. But the Franciscans come there in 1280, and they suffered martyrdom during the persecution of Cromwell, that infamous individual that was elected the patriot or something, or the statesman or something by the English. So it shows you they like murderers, because that's what he was in this country. He murdered more people, and innocent people, priests, and Franciscans were martyred. Yeah. And there was a lad in Ladies Island, when he heard about it, he had a black cross that was there, and he took it and he was going across, like this kind of a low tide was going across, and because it didn't go there, and he was nice, but and shot him, killed him. The cross then was missing, but it was found. It was found in 18 something or another. We got our being able to practice our Catholic faith in 1829. That's not that long ago, is it? We were persecuted up to then, and then persecuted afterwards as well by way of the land. People just subsided on potatoes and small little hovels. God help them. Well worth going down there and having a look at all this history, and learn about it, because you've got to do that, and I pray for them, of course. They're all up in heaven, those that suffered so badly. 1 million and 2 million then emigrated. Can you imagine the way the country was denuded? Yeah, we got our freedom in 1916, and they fought for freedom, but they fought for it before. So I'll be talking about these things as time goes on. Not to sort of worry you too much, but to just, we have to recognise the past. And this country suffered more than most. because we're beside this crowd in England that had no respect for life, no respect for the Catholic faith. Disgusting, the harm that they did. But anyway, we won't go into that. We're just talking about Dunbrody and President Kennedy, and his homestead is there too. Well worth a visit. A park named after him, naturally. Oh yeah, great family. A great honour for Wexford. Yeah, great history down there. Okay, I love the county. I really do. I love it. And there's a statue there to Commodore Barry, John Barry. He was instrumental in the United States Navy because he fought during when they were getting their freedom from Britain, who wanted to control them too. They got the bums rush there, and Barry was very instrumental. He sank many a ship. He had it here and had it here. He's commemorated over there as being the founder of the United States Navy. What a great man to have. So cheerio. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Say your prayers, of course, in the name of the Father, of the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. I always bless myself. The more times you bless yourself, the better you are, I can tell you. Bye now.